finally force them out with the sheriff at the very end, a lot of people like to destroy the property on the way out.
Of course.
So now we have properties that we have to go out and put lots of money in there because all the appliances are out, the fixtures are out, the copper's out. So we got a lot of rehab costs to do before we can even sell the property. So that's why it's a win for us. For you, Bruce, the agent, this is why I'm out there preaching every single day on these presentations, is that why is it an advantage for you? Well, as I mentioned earlier, we're the only bank out there that does not reduce commission for doing this. Most banks say, hey, for REO short sales, we're going to reduce commission down to 3, 4, 5%. Well, our approach has been, I want to give you as much as I can because I want you, the agent, to be out there working our program, doing our properties. Stay away from the other properties. If I'm paying you more commission, then I'm hoping you're out there working our properties as opposed to everybody else's. So as I mentioned to Bruce is that we give a full 6% commission on all these transactions. But if you can close the transaction within 30 days after I give you the approval, we give you 7% commission. Because we want as many partners out there working our program, selling our property to get this bad inventory off our books because these toxic assets are here, and we know that even though 38,000 today, we got more coming up. So that's why it's a win-win-win for everyone. And so that's kind of our program. Our program is great in that, as I mentioned earlier, the majority of our loans are portfolio loans, meaning that you don't have to go anywhere else, local management team, to make decisions. And we're closing these things in an average of, we give you the approval back in between 30 and 45 days. We're closing these things in between 6 and 8 weeks. Now, when we first started the program 3 years ago, we were closing these things in about 2 weeks. But now, more government regulations, well stepped in, say, hey, we got to be a little more careful with auditing purposes, making sure everything's taken care of. So now it takes a little longer because there's more eyes looking on the transaction than there was when we first started.
So how does it work if I'm a homeowner and I want to sell my house short? You get a real estate broker first?
Yeah, just a real estate agent, okay.
And they go to who goes to the bank
what will happen, and how it works with us, and back to your original question, is that I would love to be able, on the REO side, to go out and say, here, all these properties, agents, go out and do it, you know. But for us, on the short sale side, it starts when you, the homeowner, gets an agent, and the agent sends me the listing agreement. As soon as you, the agent, sends me the listing agreement, then I order the appropriate appraisal at that time. Now I'm going to order either a desktop, a drive-by, or a full appraisal. Now if the property is thrashed inside, we're going to order a full appraisal with the interior inspection because we want to make sure we get an accurate value. Okay? And we're going to do this even before you get a contract on your property because we want to speed up the process. If we wait till you get a contract 3 or 4 or 5 weeks out and then we order the appraisal, we just waste that time. So our goal is
it on MLS at that point?
Again, you don't have to put it on there. Mm-hmm. Most agents do. There are some that they know some investors want to buy your property, so they don't have to worry about that. And we really don't care as long as we get an offer that is market value. Okay? So the goal is you send me the listing agreement, you and the agent. I order the appraisal, so that when you do get that offer a week, 2, 3 down the line, we already have the value in our system. So it's as simple as looking at it and saying, okay, well, we appraised the property at 400, the offer is 360, it's close enough for me, here's the approval. So that's how it works with us. Now, some of the Wells loans and all the B of A loans and Chase loans that are investor loans, it's not quite that simple. And that's why they can't do it so quickly. Because now, the difference is that you send me that offer in, I can't make the decision, it's not my loan. I got to go to all the different investors that have this loan and say, okay, what are your guidelines? What are your guidelines? What are your guidelines? What are your guidelines? Okay, we have an offer for 360. You're going to take it? You will, great. You want 380. You want 410. That's why it's a more difficult process when you're trying to do a short sale. You hear these nightmare stories. You've got a barbecue somewhere and someone says, I've been trying to do a short sale for a year. Well, that's the case because they have an investor loan that someone else can't agree on what they're going to accept as a value.
That process, the papers disappear also because they're moving from one.
It does that. And what happens is so many times they're requiring so much documentation, financials and hardship, that they piecemeal that to the negotiator, and the file gets lost. Period again. So again, that's when I'm out there doing presentations to agents or talking to the homeowner. A lot of the homeowners don't understand their options, and I would tell them first of all, hey, at least call the modification hotline. They're going to walk you through it. If you don't qualify, maybe you'll waste an hour. Okay? But if you do qualify, this could be life-changing. I had one client that they wrote down $180,000 in their principal. They extended the terms from 30 to 40, dropped the rate down to 3 1/4. Now all of a sudden their life has changed financially. They're okay, they can make it now, you know? So I would tell the client that. And then I also tell them, hey, if you do not want this house, and we have a lot of people, especially investors, that live in Berkeley or Oakland, San Francisco, San Jose, which is a nice area, you know, Black Hawk. But they bought investment properties that are so far underwater now. I would tell them, get rid of it. We're going to give you money for doing it. There is no efficiency. We write off the loss. So there's nothing on you have to worry about. Get out of that property. And don't worry about what it may do to your credit. People are staying in these properties. We have this one investor who lives in San Francisco. He thought Patterson, California was the next big hotspot 10 years ago. There was a nice golf course there, and it was great there. Yeah. So he bought 10 properties there. Now, they were cheap, and granted, 10 years ago, I thought, man, this is going to be a good thing down here. Well, they never built any restaurants, any gas stations around that, and now built 10 properties towards the corner of the water. Well, he has done 10 short sales, and he is now out of that debt. So again, for you guys that are in the business, it's a tremendous opportunity for you, Bruce, to go out and do that. As I mentioned to him earlier, is that I have 48 agents. 48 agents in this area right here, in this Bay Area here, that are closing more than 3 of these transactions a month. A couple of them, one in San Jose, where he's from, is that he's doing more than 10 a month.
Did you go to Fremont and make a presentation to Keller your reps agents?
I have for the last 3.5 years, I bet I have done 300 presentations, and I've been to several offices multiple times. And what happens is you do a presentation like this, the agents get all excited, and about less than 10% are doing anything about it. So I'll come back 6 months later and say, okay, you had me here last year. How many people did it? In fact, great story there. Just last week, I was in Stockton. PMZ is gigantic out there in the valley. And there were 200 agents there. I did a presentation last year. The guy wanted me to come back in again this year. And he goes, this time though, don't be quite so nice. You know, I want you to come out there and say, what have you done with what I've told you in the last year? I said, are you sure you're going to do that? That's not my style. He goes, yeah, because my agents, they're not cutting it. I got agents that aren't doing anything. He says, use Sophia, one lady that did the program. So, make a long story short, I said, okay, how many of you were here last year when I was here? And most of them raised their hand. I said, how many have closed a Wachovia Wells transaction in that past year? And about 3 hands went about the 200 over there. And I said, okay. I said, so why are you asking me back? The program hasn't changed much. I'm going to reiterate what I said last year. But I said, in the meantime, Sophia, please stand up. I said, tell them what you've done over the last year. And she was there, she was in the top group, so she was number 2 in the group. And she says that she had closed 17 transactions last year by just the Wachovia short sales. You know, so basically, 1.5 a month. And the owner or broker of the company said that the average agent in his office was closing less than 1 every 3 months.
Wow.
So again, for someone like you, Bruce, that's an agent, there's a tremendous opportunity. For you others that aren't agents or aren't in the business, it's still an opportunity to learn and know about what the banks are looking for. Because the reality is that you personally could benefit from that, or I'm sure there's somebody that you know. There is somebody we all know that's underwater, that bought at the wrong time. You know, even people that can qualify, people that have a lot of money, some people bought at the wrong time. I mean, if you bought a property in the Bay Area in 06, the height of the market, odds are that you're underwater. Or the amount of money you put for your down payment is gone. It may not be underwater, but hey, your investment's gone. You still have the property there. So there's a lot of opportunity for everyone out there to just kind of know what the banks are looking for. And the advantage to here with our bank is that we have a local field team headed with myself and 4 others here in the Bay Area